What you just saw was a collection of jumps, tricks, and techniques from a game that hasn't seen the light of day in over 15 years. I am, of course, speaking about Super Mario Sunshine, so when I hear it's finally getting a re-release, I see a perfect opportunity to talk about one of my most favorite platformers of all time. That's right, Odyssey, you did good, kid, but you got a long way to go before you can hang out with the big boys. This game does have a notorious history as the black sheep of the 3D Mario family, but I'd like to put that opinion on the side since this game offers some of the most complex, satisfying platforming I've seen in any game, Mario or otherwise, period. Many people consider a great game for all types of players as one that simultaneously has a low skill floor while also having a high skill ceiling, and Mario Sunshine fits that bill far better than any of its other brethren. The only issue that some players have with this game is that in quite a few segments, the skill floor can seem like it's being spiked up without warning, due to some notoriously unintuitive mechanics or challenges, which can be overcome, but it requires the player to adopt a specific mindset, which I'll expand upon later. But in spite of that, Sunshine manages to offer a unique experience due in no small part to Mario's diverse moveset, Isle Delfino's impeccable design, and the most important fact that you don't necessarily need to follow the game's rules in order to have a ton of fun. I find myself coming back to Sunshine far more often than any of Mario's other outings, and it's mostly due to this unique experience. I'd like to share with you today how to get the most out of your trip to Isle Delfino by preparing yourself for some of its challenges and expanding your skill and knowledge of the most complex and satisfying moveset that Mario has ever had. In other words, I'd like to share how it feels to play Super Mario Sunshine. Sunshine's success lends itself primarily to the world it takes place in. The sun-drenched tropical paradise of Isle Delfino manages to create the perfect sandbox for Mario to explore, jump, and spray around. Delfino Plaza, in particular, is one of the best parts of Sunshine. The fact that your hub world is actually one of the largest and easily the most dense level of the game is a marvel that for some reason hasn't been recreated in any collectathon since. At least to my knowledge. Delfino Plaza is the perfect place for you to play around and test out all of the skills and abilities at your disposal with minimal risk of death or other frustrations. The game's strengths are in its exploration, a concept that was pioneered in 3D by the game's predecessor. The best missions in this game to me are the 8 red coin missions. In any other Mario game, these would be tedious and boring, but Mario's ability to explore alongside the usual platforming challenges makes these missions so much fun. These levels do an excellent job at getting you completely intimate with the various pieces of Isle Delfino. No, not like that, you creep. Mario's moveset is perfectly suited to crossing larger gaps and moving greater distances than in any of his other outings, and the design of the levels compensate for this. And despite this, many parts of the levels are so densely packed that you'll want to explore each and every nook and cranny just to see what's going on. The developers stretched the theme of Tropical Island to its absolute limit, and each level manages to feel distinct and filled with memorable stuff to do, even if, at a macro scale, you have themes like beach level, town level, and grass level repeated at various points. Don't be afraid to stray off the beaten path, because there's always something new and interesting around the corner. Which brings me to my point that you don't need to do what the game presents in front of you in order to succeed or just have fun. If you're a player that lives for objective-based gameplay, I get that, but you gotta take what some of Sunshine throws at you with a grain of salt. Some of its missions are great, but a lot of it gets repetitive, and some of it just doesn't stick. I guess you could say it's a wash. Yeah, I'll just see myself out, but I come back to this game so much just to jump and spray around for the sheer fun of it, not to escort watermelons or to do dental deeds done dirt cheap. You're supposed to be on vacation, take a step back and enjoy the view. What's over there? Can I get up there? There's some sweet stuff up here. Hey, look at me go! Wow, that was fun! What was I doing again? Yeah, if your goal is to see the credits or get all of the things, there's a long list of bullshit that you gotta complete, but you can take it all at your own pace. Maybe this is all just some bullshit excuse I'm making up, but I feel like it's such a lucky coincidence that the most restrictive and, at times, frustrating levels in any Mario game are contrasted by such a relaxing and open space. A lot of people claim that the F.L.U.D. missions are the best levels of the game since they kick the crutch out from under you and highlight the great platforming kit that Mario inherently has. While this is true, I'm also really glad that these stages only make up about 10% of the shines in this game. These challenges are fun and all, but they're at a complete disconnect from the rest of the world, and more importantly, from the rest of the gameplay. These stages are more akin to the levels you'll find in a traditional 2D Mario game, which completely removes the focus away from exploration and experimentation. The most fun that I have in this game are the missions that I make up for myself. How far can I get around on the rooftops of Delfino Plaza without using F.L.U.D? Oh, I can spread the goop around by sliding and baiting enemy attacks. How far can I stretch this shit? I learned how to get good in this game by playing my own game of pretend that the floor is hot lava, or in one case, the floor was actually hot lava. Hey, look at that, you can drag a little bit of water with you when you jump out of the lake, and now make a small path so you can completely skip the underground segment of this level. Alright, cool, I got F.L.U.D back, so now I can finish the level, or I could go on a rampage of catharsis after all the bullshit that this stage gave me. Hey, you know, this is just like playing a game of Splatoon. This is awesome. None of this stuff is anything that the game told me to do or how to do. It just presents a giant sandbox to explore and play around in, and that's what's so appealing to me. Even if your main objective is to complete the tasks that the game sets in front of you, it becomes quickly apparent that there's hardly ever one true way to approach a problem in Sunshine. In the very first mission of the game, a wall separates the two halves of Bianco Hills. The easy way out is to follow the river to this watermill and wait for it to take you over to the other side, or you could jump off the tight ropes and hover over it, or you could do a 6 spin jump into a wall jump and get the extra height that you need. Some of the best missions of this game are the ones that have you scale up a large construct. In Rico Harbor, there's a giant cage with a hole at the top that houses a shine sprite. The intended way to beat this level is to carefully scale up the scaffolding and get in through the top, but there's a hatch at the bottom that works two ways. A normal jump couldn't get you high enough to reach the grating on the bottom of the cage, but you can unlock the rocket nozzle halfway through the stage and just skip to the end, or you could do a sick flip off the crane and hover your way to the top, completing the stage in less than 20 seconds. Just by the very open nature of the game, there's never only one answer to a problem, or at the very least there's a way to optimize it. You fight this blooper boss 3 times throughout the game, and it presents itself as this long, annoying task of ripping off all of its tentacles one by one so you can make your way to its mouth and yank it, then rinse and repeat. But you can stun the tentacles by jumping on them, giving you just enough time to yank at the mouth without wasting any more time. Just check out some of the insane speedruns for individual levels out there. I've been playing this game for decades, and I'm still learning how to piece all these moves together fluently enough to go this fast, and that's incredibly exciting to me. But before I get ahead of myself, you can't just go into this game for the first time guns blazing and expect to pull off some of this crazy nonsense. This game's controls are a bit more complex and precise compared to more recent Mario titles. A lot of people like to describe this game's controls as slippery or oversensitive, but I prefer the term buttery smooth. Yummy. Yes, the game is very responsive, but that just means you need to know what you're doing and how to do it, and that takes a lot of practice. But there's just so many tools and techniques in Mario's kit that the game really doesn't force on you. The tutorial is bare bones, and the game kinda just expects you to figure out some of this stuff on your own. But when new players get to the more frustrating parts of the game, a lot of people tend to just drop it entirely instead of learning how they can approach all of these challenges. So, in lieu of that, I'm going to teach you how to get the most out of Mario's best moveset to date, in a little segment I like to call How Not to Suck at Sms Part 1.
Jump good.
Mario, first and foremost, has always been about platforming, and this game is no different. Nearly every move from 64 has been translated into this game with a few new tricks, and Sunshine expects you to keep up with the program. Congrats, you can play with your knob with one finger and stick the other up your a-hole. Do you want a medal or something? Try doing both at the same time while moving in the opposite direction Mario's facing. You can do a side flip. Do your best meat spin impression instead, and Mario can spin jump, aka best jump. Both of these jumps give Mario the extra height needed to get past various obstacles, but both have their own unique use cases. Spin jumps are technically the higher of the two. It can get you more distance, but can sometimes veer you in the wrong direction if you fuck them up, while side flips allow you to keep your momentum and are more consistent. Develop a special relationship with that wall over there, and Mario will start to wall jump, which is actually fucking useful in this game, unlike in 64. Keep in mind that most of the momentum from your jump onto that wall is kept in the wall jump, allowing you to jump off of corners for extra height. But if you approach two parallel walls from a bad angle, don't be surprised if you fly face first into the drink. In these cases, side flips are your friend. Mario can also triple jump, but don't worry too much about that one since it's never really required for anything and is only super useful for this one trick that lets you get to Beyond Village early, so that's neat, I guess. F.L.U.D. also grants Mario the ability to hover in the air for a short time, beginning the first in a long line of tricks for the Mario series to come. You might be asking yourself why you should even bother with all these fancy flips and tricks if you can just jetpack your way to victory for most of the game. And the answer to that is because it's a fucking unfun loser crutch for babies who suck and are bad. Except for when you need it. The hover nozzle, and I cannot emphasize this enough, is a safety net for when you fuck up, and a useful one at that. But the punishment for relying on it is a complete loss of all your momentum, which segues nicely into my next topic. Part 2. Sunshine is a 3D platformer. That's 3 dimensions, you dim-witted dunder-dunce. Jumping is your main squeeze, but Mario isn't a one-axis man if you catch my drift. So if you want to get cozy with some more of those letters of the alphabet, you gotta understand how to go up and down and all around. Pressing the B button lets Mario slide around Isle Delfino like how he slides into your DMs, face first, ass up. This dive gives you a small burst of speed and can be done on the ground or in the air to get a little extra distance. You can spam the B button to extend the dive or press A to hop out of it and transition smoothly back into your normal run. Useful to get around corners and for one other fancy trick. If you hop out of a dive onto a sloped surface, Mario will dash as if he heard you talking shit like he wouldn't find out, as long as you continue to move in that direction and don't leave that angled surface. This trick comes in handy far more times than you would expect and is particularly useful for 2 out of the 3 races with Il Piantissimo throughout the game. Lastly, if Mario dives onto a wet surface, either naturally or one made by spraying the ground in front of you, you'll start to slide and gain speed for as long as you continue to hold the control stick in that direction. This move sacrifices all of your turning potential, but gives you a huge burst of speed, so only use it if you have a straight line to where you want to be. But what's all this about spraying and shit? Well, sit tight because now we're finally ready to talk about Part 3. Gun! Surprise, surprise, platforming isn't the only thing you do in this game where you have a fat yellow tumor attached to your back at all times. The F.L.U.D. is the main gimmick of this game, F.L.U.D. being an acronym for the fact that I fucking love unloading the drink onto these dickheads. Spraying water is the main way that you attack and interact with the world, and learning how to do so both effectively and efficiently is the difference between playing your best Rudy Tooty point and shooty impression and unleashing hell upon anyone foolish enough to stand in your way. First and foremost, everything wet is controlled by the R button. Press it down all the way and Mario will clench those butt cheeks and stand in place. Press it part way and you can move while you splooge, or by pressing R and ZR respectively on the switch port. Most of the time you want to keep yourself mobile, but there's an important trick that involves the full click that I'll get back to in a sec. Spinning the control stick before firing lets Mario spray in all directions and can be extended by transitioning it into a spin jump. This is useful for the mountains of times that you'll find yourself surrounded by baddies or just need to clean up quickly because you heard the front door opening and nobody bothered to knock. Spraying things with water is always the solution in this game. Need something dead? Spray that sucker where the sun don't shine. Something look out of place? Hose it down. Even when everything's business as usual, give it the old Yeller treatment. You never know. Solving all my problems with water is fine and dandy, but why waste time aiming at one thing when you can just shoot all of the things? Smash that MFR button down all the way, and then press A to send a shotgun spray while... This can be done at any time, during any action, and you can completely keep the momentum of whatever it is you're doing. Plus, the move is 100% spammable. Nothing can stand in your way when you become a literal walking tidal wave. But don't get too trigger happy, this move takes up a ton of your tank, so blow your load too early and you might be caught high and dry with your pants down. Don't worry, it happens to the best of us. And while you're waiting for it to get up again, you can put a lid on all this dank tech while I teach you the most important thing in this entire game. Part 4. Patience. All these tricks and tips are fine and dandy, but none of it will mean anything if you're just gonna slam your head into the wall until something works. Not only do I mean that you're gonna need a lot of practice in order to burn all this shit into your muscle memory, but if you don't have a steady hand and a calm mind to put it all together, you're gonna go down faster than Mario downs a city's block worth of spaghetti. The whole point of this video is to help people want to get more intimate with the controls so that maybe, just maybe, I can reduce the number of comments complaining about how unfair the Sandbird is. You just literally all you have to do is stand on this tail, then
slide to the right, slide to the left.
If you haven't noticed already, Mario is that tiny little shit stain in the center of your screen. No, that's not his chronic manlet disease finally taking over, the camera is just really far away! So that you can have a better understanding of your surroundings at all times. The camera can be a fickle bitch, but when you get it to play nice, you can take a deep breath and wait for the perfect moment to jump, pump, and dump so you can get that rump. All these fancy jumps and dives won't do you any good if you can't land exactly where you intend to, so sometimes your basic bitch-ass bunny hop is all you need. I did say that the hover nozzle is a crutch, but there's no shame in using it. It's part of Mario's arsenal for 90% of the game. You're supposed to have it as a safety net, but the point is that when you practice all these fancy acrobatics and put it into motion, it feels way more satisfying than just hovering around at a snail's pace. Remember, there's usually not only one way to approach a situation in this game, so think it out. Do what feels right for your playstyle. And in terms of getting some practice, just look outside your window for 2 seconds, you fucking hermit mongoloid. You have an entire island to run around in. Go on out there and explore, maybe speedrun an 8 red coin mission or a secret stage. But if you want something a little more substantial as a guide, I could suggest going to the Shadow Mario missions throughout the game. Shadow Mario has exactly the same moveset as you, minus the F.L.U.D, so just follow him around for a while and see what he can do. Some missions are better than others for this, so my suggestion is to chase him around in Rico Harbor, Noki Bay, and the various points in Delfino Plaza when he shows up. You know, my original title for this video was going to be something along the lines of Super Mario Sunshine, A Test in Patience. It was going to be this big retrospective piece on all the great stuff I've went over already and a little more, but contrasted with all the shitty parts of the game and how to overcome them. Like how the game was obviously rushed and some of the mechanics feel a little half-baked and all the stinky poo-poo garbage levels that nobody likes, but fuck that. Sunshine is still great and I love it and you should give it a chance. Don't misunderstand me, I'm not trying to sell you on some Sunshine is an underrated gem garbage or that it was Nintendo's magnum opus or anything. I acknowledge that the game has serious flaws. When taken as a whole piece, it's objectively one of the worst games in Mario's repertoire, but when you look at what this game does right, it does offer an experience that cannot be matched. I didn't even mention the stuff like how Isle Delfino is this beautifully crafted world whose levels coexist in cohesion with one another, or how the adhesive theme of an island vacation unyieldingly stays with you throughout each and every level. From the worlds, to the music, to the dedication of interweaving platforming and other challenges as objects that would logically exist within each of these levels, instead of just being colorful platforms floating in space. For the most part. Thing is though, you've probably heard most of that before. Everyone already knows that Sunshine is only half of a fucking masterpiece. And if you want to see more of that, I'll link some videos in the description that put those thoughts into words far better than I can ever do. Even though you've probably seen all those videos before anyway, but whatever. In the meantime, I hope that I've at least shared some perspective on the potential that this game has, and I really hope that, if you haven't done so already, that you give the game a good and honest chance, because it really deserves it. I can't guarantee that you'll like everything that this game has to offer, but that really shouldn't matter. You can have fun by making your own rules, setting your own goals, and achieving the heights that you set for yourself. So go on out there and jump on some buildings, cause some water damage, and find out for yourself how it feels to play Super Mario Sunshine.